things rolling here, and this is being recorded, so if anybody has to jump off early, or if we have anybody that comes on a little bit later that misses anything, you can watch the entire thing later. So again, thanks Blake, Dan, and Jim for being panelists on the reopening marketing discussion. And at this point, I think mostly all practices are reopened. They may not be open 100%, but everybody just about is open back up. This is Group Dentistry Now's DSO Study Club, and this is our first marketing discussion. And we have 3 panelists here. And again, I'm Bill Neumann, and very, very thankful to have everybody here on a Tuesday afternoon. Could be a Tuesday morning, depending on where you are in the country. So I am the CEO of Group Dentistry Now, and we have an online publication for all things group practice and DSO. So again, mentioned the panelists earlier. We have Dan Gemp. Dan is the President and Chief Executive Officer of Dreamscape Marketing. Dreamscape is down in, down from me in Baltimore, Maryland. We have James Blundo, and James is the Vice President and co-founder of Sparq Design, and they are headquartered in Pittsburgh, PA. And last but certainly not least, because he has the most slides in the entire presentation by far, tenfold, and he says he's going to go through them quickly, so we're going to hold him to it. We have Blake Hadley, and Blake is the president and founder of My Social Practice. So they're going to tell you a little bit more about their organizations and themselves in a little bit. So we're going to start off with James and his presentation. But what I want to let everybody know is each panelist is going to have between 10 and 15 minutes to discuss marketing strategies. And then we're going to have plenty of time at the end for Q&A. We've got some questions already from a couple of CMOs of different group practices and DSOs that they've forwarded along to us. And then you certainly know how to use Zoom at this point in the COVID crisis. So you know where the Q&A is. You can certainly send us your questions through there. So James, take it away.
Yeah, thank you, Bill. And of course, thank you to everyone who is joining today. It's a really great opportunity to speak to everyone and share our opinion, a few marketing executives from the agency side on what we're seeing with the industry. And if I could just kick it off with a little plug for Group Dentistry Now. I know that Bill will appreciate that. I'm really happy to be on this, especially for Group Dentistry Now. I found it to be my favorite industry source as far as information is concerned, and it's really where I go to learn as much as I can about the industry. So Bill's done a really great job, and of course appreciative of the opportunity to be on this panel and also speak to so many of you folks out there. I'm the Vice President and co-founder of Sparq Designs. We're an agency here in Pittsburgh, as Bill mentioned. We've worked with a few DSOs and emerging dental groups over the past few years, but we're really an agency that works with companies and organizations in all industries. So I think we use our overall consumer environment in all industries, just understanding not just dental, but really consumers that are using products and services in all different industries to apply a perspective to our dental clients that may be a little bit more overarching, a little wider lens to what we're seeing out there right now, particularly in this post-COVID world. And of course, every industry is very nuanced, and dental's no different. And as far as the way that COVID has impacted industries, I think anybody on this call will tell you that dental is one of those that was impacted right off the bat significantly, and unfortunately negatively in a lot of different ways. But also it puts a microscope on the industry, and which also allows you to have a megaphone. So there's a little bit more attention paid. So what we say here for the dental industry, what's put out there has more attention on it, and hopefully can carry a little bit of weight, and we can shine a spotlight on what's happening in the industry. Our overall dental direction, we gave it through a long-term lens, just trying to understand what the significance of the impact was with COVID, and then any suggestions and opinions that we've been giving as far as our agency is concerned, and the direction that we've been giving is really on trying to understand what is the impact in the long term, and not just the immediate, once something happens, how do you react? It's really understanding how do you position yourself as an industry, and where are you going to take your messaging to dictate what this looks like as, of course, we navigate this COVID world, as well as get through it and get to the next stages, hopefully. In a critical situation, the messaging put out now can sometimes come with less consideration for the future, and that's where we get back to just understanding that what you put out now and the way that we position is going to impact what happens in the future. There's no question right off the bat, as far as industry positioning and messaging is concerned, that the number one thing that everyone was talking about is safety. I think everybody understood that, and a lot of the communication you see out there is built around safety, and it should have been. What I'm going to do during this presentation is really take a look at, since we're now 3-4 months into what's happened since COVID has become a part of our lives, take a look back at the first wave reaction and how marketing reacted, and then also some changes that we think can happen moving forward with the messaging. So like I said, right off the bat, there's no question that safety had to rightly be put at the forefront of messaging. And leaders in the industry were quickly acting on the correct instinct to address those fears. And there are many studies put out there that it was the #1 focus to consumers. And leaders in the industry, thought leaders from DSOs and emerging dental groups really came about right off the bat with a lot of great advice on how to navigate practices and reopening and best practices for the entire industry. And I think that's where DSOs and emerging dental groups really show their benefit and shine through on what they can provide to the entire dental space, is this type of guidance at this type of level. So it was really great to see that happen right off the bat. Now, the things that I will discuss a little bit might come off as a bit of a critique to the way that it got rolled out, but understand that you know, a lot of this is also coming from now what's a little bit of hindsight and a little bit of benefit of seeing the way that things have transpired. So really, when it comes to safety, I think when you're looking at your positioning and your messaging, and right off very early on, there was really 2 avenues that I thought could be taken. And those 2 avenues was, one, building your messaging around the new safety measures that were going to be implemented. And 2, the second avenue was reminding patients that offices were always safe and always have been safe. What my critique and what we saw very early on is that I felt that messaging was being skewed heavily in the beginning toward the avenue of new normal safety measures. And not that it wasn't for good reason, because it was, but it should be communicated, in my opinion, should have been communicated from the beginning, that the primary message to have had from the outset, when all of this started to begin, and this is what you're giving to consumers, the primary message should have been that dentistry was always safe. But very early on, it seemed like the primary message in the lead was becoming about new normal and everything that was going to change about visiting the dentist and visiting practices. And as I mentioned, there's an impact to the messaging and positioning, and you have to keep in mind that impact stays with the consumer in a different way than maybe the way that it's felt when you're in the weeds of the industry. So there's a few things that I don't love about prioritizing new normal and safety measures right off the bat as the top line message. Number one is the public was and is generally uncomfortable with the idea of new normal. Through my messaging and acknowledging that many changes have to take place, you're accepting that you cannot see patients in this environment. And at that point, it puts you at the mercy of reopening rules, and where you stand with patients will dictate their pace in coming back. So I think when you kind of lead with the top line message of everything is about to change, then it puts you in a position where you need to start thinking about this next phase and all of the things that are going to be different now. The other thing that I think that it does is it leads to a lack of confidence from the public consumer in the safety of an office. So it starts to make you question, were we not safe before? And that's through a dramatic response of, look at all the measures that we're going to take now, not to suggest that you shouldn't. Those should be out there and they should have been a part of the messaging. I'm just suggesting that they shouldn't have been the priority message, the top line message, because as a consumer, what it may make them think, and what I think it might have made them think, is, were we not safe before? And one of the unfortunate things that I think that we need to be aware of and possibly consider is the fact that did dental cede its position as an essential healthcare service by not coming right off the bat and enforcing the fact that oral health is important to overall health, and that it should have been something that right off the bat people were, or organizations were putting out communication that it should have been something that needed to be open, or the importance of it needed to be communicated. And then more critically, it happened at a moment when the industry had the most amount of eyes on it. So really what I'm going to talk about in the next slide is kind of how we can regain the position of dental to being back as an essential healthcare service. And as a second wave, or the continue of the first wave comes, I want to make sure that we're putting ourselves in a position that the consumer really does see it as an essential healthcare service. And with that, if you could just go back one slide, I'm sorry, Bill. Just again, reiterating that it did belong. There's no question that the message needed to be conveyed. It's just my opinion that it should have been done further down the funnel, and really the top line message needed to be that we were always safe. If you could just go to the next slide there. So moving forward, I think that the number one thing is dental has to regain its ground by adjusting the messaging position. And the highest priority messaging needs to be built around dental was always safe. The one thing that we do as a marketing agency for all of our customers is we're constantly selling messaging. Whether we need to sell message to sell products or services, we need to sell whatever that message is. And the way to do that is you have to get consumers to a place where they are most comfortable. And the reality, in my opinion, is that new normal, in quotations there, equals uncomfortable. In a lot of ways, everything about the future right now, when it comes to COVID and post-COVID world, is uncertain and uncomfortable. And anytime that we're trying to position ourselves and position our messaging, we don't want to do so from a position of uncertainty or making people feel uncomfortable. So the top line message that we have tried to promote and want to promote is, we were always safe. And the reality is that that feels more comfortable to the consumer. It reminds them that they were safe in the dentist office before everything happened, and they're going to be safe after as well. And it puts them also, when you think about the consumer, it puts them in a time period where they did have certainty and comfort. And that's where you want to bring your message from. There's a really great example actually happening right now with the hashtag dental safety movement by Pacific Dental Services. They're doing a really great grassroots campaign built around that as the top priority message. And again, it's a reminder that we were always safe, and now you are going to be even safer. So that top line message just remaining, this was safe before, you never needed to feel uncomfortable, and you probably never did feel uncomfortable with the dentist, but these are the further measures that we're going to be taking, is really that's the communication that you want to put out to patients and to consumers. And I guess I'll just leave you this as far as the way that you consider the position in the messaging, because right off the bat, you hear, we're doing studies right now, and the studies suggest that consumers want to hear, what are we doing to keep them safe? And that is entirely true. And I believe that that was absolutely a fact, and we know it to be a fact. But what would they say now or in the future if the initial reaction from the industry was to project confidence by putting out the messaging that dental was always safe? How would those responses have changed if from the beginning we were reminding patients that this is a safe environment, we're going to be safer in the future, but this was always a safe environment? So that's really the one thing that I want to leave everybody on really thinking about, because where the industry stands, especially now as this thing kind of presents itself again, where it stands and what you put out now will dictate your patient volume in the future and how quickly they are to get back to the offices and how confident they are in organizations.
That's great, James. Thank you. This so I look at the two bullets here that you have: new normal equals uncomfortable, and we were always safe equals comfortable. And I mean, really, if there's nothing else you take away from this presentation, I think that's, you know, super important that we realize that the industry, and I think we realize it, that the industry was always safe, but did the industry project that to the patients?
Yeah.
So nice work there. We're going to jump over now, and we'll have Dan Gemp. And Dan, thanks. And also thanks for the comedy relief in the chat forum while James was doing his presentation.
Dangerous when I'm muted. Thanks so much, James. And I do want to validate that message of dental safety is absolutely paramount right now. And I also want to reiterate that I agree. The dental industry at large ceded essential status. You, unfortunately, as a collective, allowed yourselves to be deemed non-essential. But having been raised by a dental hygienist, I view you all as completely essential. So I am the president of Dreamscape Marketing. We're a digital marketing agency working with medical groups in 37 states, several hundred dental practices and DSOs, and have a 61-person team out of Baltimore, Maryland. Been around a long time, and we've seen it all. I saw the last recession, and you know, now that we're in a socially isolated version of a pandemic, it's led to a whole new set of problems. And as I go through some of my points today, I just want you all to realize this is an opportunity to innovate, right? So take the messaging and the brand position that James covered. I'm going to talk about some tactical digital marketing components and then see where that segues into social media and deployment. So practice level marketing, right? What can you just do right now? If you wanted to, you're open again, you want to roll up your sleeves and get marketing and get patients back in. There are a few challenges with this, right? So the goal is to establish normalcy in your practice, but that doesn't mean sitting in a waiting room with other people wearing face masks, right? You need to reconnect with patients. You need to reconnect with your staff. There's going to be a lot of pent-up feelings of frustration. There's going to be a lot of mistrust. And your own staff members, they don't want to come back to work only to get infected with COVID and bring it home to their loved ones and senior relatives. So realize that there's a vulnerability you need to address internally, and that everything should be focused on moving forward. There's nothing you can do about lost time, lost revenue. It's go time. It's time to move forward at full speed and innovate. So the tactics I'm going to cover, they're ones that we're using. They're in progress, in deployment, and here's where it goes. So from the internal perspective, you need a publicized, agreed upon reopening plan. It's got to have buy-in from team members. So alignment is more important than a dictatorial response. And as a guy running a marketing agency, it's a little different. We've got deadlines. I can be a dictator. As a dentist, you're leading a healthcare team. And as a DSO, you're leading a multi-location hospital organization, right? So this reopening plan, it needs to address human resource concerns, safety protocols, new concepts like the parking lot waiting room, right? Do people even need to be in your building, or is that part of your protocols now? And you can align the expectations of your staff with the documented plan that can be deployed for your patients. So it really does cover, all possible audiences. Creating a forum will establish trust again with your team, right? People have their own concerns. They're not voicing them necessarily. Safety is everyone's primary concern. And so you can address that head on. You can just say, hey, I've got a notepad and a pen. Let's get to work, right? I want to absorb your feedback. I will respond to it, and I'll clarify why we have to still be back in business, because we have a business to run if you all want jobs. So it really is an opportunity for great team alignment, great team building. External messaging, right? So what do you need to be saying to your patients, to potential stakeholders and investors at the DSO level? It begins with a very simple communication that you need to do frequently and more than once. We are open. These are our hours. We have done everything we can to ensure you're safe in our care. You need to educate your patients, right? So dental practices already had transmission mitigation procedures in place, right? So as James alluded, or directly said, dental practices were always pretty safe places. You always had sterilization of equipment top of mind. You have deep cleaning products in all offices. Just communicate that, right? And demonstrate that you're executing a best-in-class, hygienic, safe environment, right? You demonstrate that with photos, videos, communication, and keeping people calm. So delivering this message, right? You need to do multi-channel marketing. And a lot of dentists, they use template websites, and they don't really have robust email communication, and they never really deployed text messaging in their marketing efforts. They already had patients, and you just text out an appointment reminder. Well, there's new concerns now, and the new concerns are access to computers versus smartphones, access to email. We've had triple the open rate on our dental client emails as we've had historically since the start of COVID. So now email is relevant again. And on your mobile communication, you've got to realize people have been checking their phones every 2 or 3 seconds as an average during this crisis. It's become very compulsory. 52% of your web traffic, that is based on our dental practice clients. So 52% of privately owned dental practices are getting their traffic from mobile first. 50% will leave your website due to poor mobile experience. So if someone gets a text message for an appointment reminder, or they just want to check that you're open and it takes too long for your site to load and whatnot, you're going to lose that patient potentially forever. A lot of people are seeking very specific information. 40 to 50 million unemployed Americans. Do you take whatever insurance I have now? Can I pay cash because I just lost all my family's coverage due to COVID-19 layoffs? Can you finance elective procedures because I've been putting one off for months and it's time, I'm in pain? So start to think through other business operation solutions. You're going to need fresh content to rank higher on Google search results. There was a core algorithm update in May, so it is more opportunistic for you to publish new relevant content. You need to give updates on your practice, safety protocols and staffing, hours of operation. You need to provide advice, short, focused, optimized advice. Staff profiles matter a lot right now. Okay, if your staff is all geared up in full safety protocol gear and masks on masks, everybody is going to trust you that much more to come back. And then a lot of how to explainer videos, how to sit in the parking lot and wait until we call you. Things that you might think are common sense are completely out the window right now. And then job posts. A lot of you have never had a problem with recruiting, but depending on how many employees you have, especially at the DSO level, if 5% of them haven't come back as you reopen, you've got some serious staffing needs from billable resources. A practice e-newsletter. So email is back. It's a great way to announce reopenings. It's a great way to announce which locations and hours of operation are ideal and what they're suited to treat. It's not a direct sales funnel. It is a patient engagement tool, right? So just like an appointment reminder text message, emailing your patients as a patient recall effort would be your primary focus. Hey, book a family appointment now, or hey, these are the new ways we are deploying appointments. Demonstration of a level of caring and commitment, just letting them know you care. I see TV commercials all day from car companies that care. Panera Bread cares. I haven't seen anything from a dentist that cares. I still have teeth. So putting this all in perspective and realizing that, this is also going to require reputation management. It's a really good time to get reviews. If you dealt with any emergency cases during this time, you're going to get a lot of credit for that. So, and I'll let Blake cover that primarily, but the concept of social reviews is really important right now since you're not seeing a high volume of patients to get them on your own. So this will help boost your online rankings as well. Social media. So in delivering this message through social, patient-facing content is something that should live here. So you should make these videos of your new safety protocols, all the extra equipment you might be wearing, the PPE, what the office looks like, all the new bottles of hand sanitizer available at every doorway in the office. That will put people at ease, but those videos and that content should live on your social media channels. For dentistry, we find that Facebook and Instagram pages are as valuable at driving business as your own website when it comes to patient activation. Online business listings, right? The yellow pages is not dead. Without having a physical presence and being open and getting patient referrals, you're going to find that you have to turn to a few more old school digital marketing tactics. So using listing services, focusing heavily on your Google My Business account. That if you took one thing away from this today, your Google My Business account is more important than it's ever been, and it's free. And they've added additional fields for emergency services and COVID-19 protocols. So when you win local search, you win local inquiries, period. And updating all of your public facing information channels. If you have one business listing that's got an old phone number, or when a practice was acquired by a DSO and they never updated their call tracking number for lead generation management, now is the time to have great accuracy in those things, because you missed one cosmetic procedure and you missed a lot of revenue in your attempts to make a comeback here. And then finally, SEO, search engine optimization, and organic search compared to paid search. So if you need to come out of the gate strong and things are tight and you really need to get revenue cruising, paid search is going to be your immediate term answer. You can get your ads running. You can put verbiage in about COVID-19 safety protocols at the office and get restarted quickly. Talk about cash pay. Again, 40 to 50 million Americans unemployed. There's a lot of opportunity in addressing that audience. They're going to be switching providers. You might need to defensively protect your patient base. And then an ongoing additive process, right? So your website isn't done. You really need to focus on it from now on. You need to be adding content to it, creating these videos, refreshing them every few years. But your team can help you with that, and they should have a little bit of downtime right now to do that. So really come together as a team, lean on them to produce this content, and post it on your website so that Google gives you credit for it and you rank higher on search results. So we've talked about, the message to deliver, and we've talked about the outlets to deliver it through. Now we need to talk about which format you'll get, the most reach from, and that is hands down video. The benefits are that technology has made video easy. We could all be on our phones right now and doing a full enterprise Zoom session, but technology's made it easy. It faithfully conveys tone and connection. You're more likely to utilize video than print. When's the last time you looked at a trifold brochure in detail? And you're not going to have that waiting room engagement where people are reading about Invisalign and porcelain veneers and periodontic implants and their benefits. So it's way, way, way more likely to be consumed by your patients than print formats right now. It also can't be covered in viruses. It's just a video in their computer. Well, computer viruses maybe, but it can be informal and fast. You can put up little 30-second, dental health tips, oral health tips. This content lasts for years. It has a really good evergreen shelf life, and it's brand building. So you can really adjust your entire message, your entire market position through video faster than any other channel. And it will help your search engine rankings to post that on YouTube and other video platforms. So that said, you can cover a few topics if you need ideas. Reopening videos, dental advice and FAQ videos from a variety of your staff members. Patient testimonials, they've got time. They're sitting at their computers too. What a great time to ask for a video testimonial. staff training, and staff profiles. So when it comes down to innovation, okay, when it comes down to the opportunity to expand your services, where is the business opportunity in all of this? It's a terrible pandemic and my business is ruined forever. No, the innovators will thrive. So look at potential applications of telehealth. Other industries that were deemed essential, they've been using telehealth at scale. The mental health industry, substance abuse, outpatient services. You guys need to find a way to utilize telehealth for potentially cosmetic consults, depending on who's manning the phones. You may or may not want to make diagnoses over telehealth, but think about its application and prioritize that as a way to address patient backlog for appointments. Mobile dentistry, senior-only hours, right? Even Costco had hours just for seniors. I haven't seen any dentists doing it yet. Urgent care extended hours. That may not even be your business right now, but it's a way to do a lot of patient outreach and high-dollar procedural work for emergencies by just changing your hours of operation, right? About 4 days a week, 10 hours instead of 5 days a week, 8 hours. And then shifting your payer mix. I continue to view this as your biggest opportunity. Tens of millions of unemployed Americans who still need to go to the dentist. They can afford to pay for a cleaning or a visit, cash maybe, but they may or may not be insured and they may or may not have ideal insurances right now. So a supplemental source of income, direct sales of hard goods. So right now, I know my dentist. I like my dentist. If I could support his business by buying an electric toothbrush at a 20% markup, that would be fine. You could very simply use Facebook Marketplace and tools like that to go e-commerce and sell home kits, water picks, toothbrushes, things that you wouldn't normally do. And they don't need to be big dollar. They just need to support the wellness of your patient base and generate revenue. And then some new ideas like in-house financing, right? What services might you be able to provide because you have capacity right now that normally you'd have to charge top dollar for, right? That maybe you'd be willing to self-finance, right? Just because of the business risk in the current environment. There is tremendous opportunity in the cosmetic side of things. So innovate. That's my challenge to you. And then finally, getting normal going again, right? I don't want it to be a new normal. I just want it to get moving. So start marketing aggressively. Start really hitting email, phones, any channel you can. Search engine optimization, Google My Business, paid search. But simple concepts, and Unmask Your Smile contest. Blake's better at this stuff than I am. But the creative components to social media to get your patients generating content for you. A grand reopening contest, right? Who's got the goofiest smile, or what food did you get stuck in your teeth over COVID that you don't normally eat, right? Things like that can really add some personality to a brand. And then social media toolkits like My Social Practice specifically. By toolkits, I mean, again, actual patient engagement that could be done in office, but now would need to be done uniquely in the parking lot or upon entry to the office right away. So engaging your social media audience and your patients in a new and clever way. And then finally, referral office outreach. So now is the best time to prove to people that could potentially refer you patients, certain employers, local small businesses, families that you know that might go to another dentist, but they would consider a change right now. Send a personal message, send some kind of a nominal gift, a toothbrush, whatever that may be, and just let them know that you're back to work and ready to help. This is going to support community, and that's been a really big focus in marketing. Safety first, but then reaching out to your community. And that way colleagues can discuss issues on a peer-to-peer level. So with that, thank you, and I yield.
Thanks, Dan. Yeah, and don't forget what he mentioned early on in the presentation about internal messaging. I mean, I think that's one thing that's really overlooked as a marketing component. I mean, how safe does your staff feel about coming in? I know I talked to a lot of emerging groups, and they're struggling to get hygienists back and get assistants back. So that's an integral part. So again, thanks, Dan. So I'm going to turn the controls over to Blake because he has a challenge ahead of him. He has quite a few slides, and there's no way I'm going to be able to keep up with them. So Blake, I am going to let you take it away from here.
All right, thanks, Bill. I promised Bill that I'd get this done in 15 minutes. So even though I have a ton of slides, I will get it done in 15 minutes. So that will be my challenge. The reason why, just a little background, the reason why I have a lot of slides, I'm a very visual person. My background is in advertising and art direction and graphic design. And so I teach visually and I learn visually. So you'll see a lot of slides in this. So a little bit about me. Here's my contact information if you want to get a hold of me. I am the president. Oh, what did I do? Did I click out of it, Bill?
You did. Uh-oh, we already slowed the process down.
I'm already messed it up. Oh man, I'm not gonna reach my.
I think I got you back in.
All right, let me try to click here. All right, is it clicking? There we go.
There you go.
Okay. A little bit about my social practice. We're the #1 comprehensive social media marketing solution specific for dental practices. We've been around for over 10 years now. We've worked with thousands of practices all over the world, really helping them with social media marketing. We've partnered with some of the top industry leaders, and we really practice what we preach. If you go to our social media accounts, you'll see that we have one of the largest followings in the dental industry, and we really dive into social media. It's how we market our business, and we really want to learn as much as we can about all of these platforms so we can help practices. We also host the largest and only dental digital marketing specific conference. It's called the Dental Digital Marketing Conference, or DDMC. We used to do it in live physical events. The last one was in Salt Lake here. And then this year's, we actually did it virtual, and it was a live conference. And if you go to ddmclive.com, you can still register and watch the recorded videos. So there may have been a lot of you that are watching right now that maybe saw the DDMC as well. But it was a great conference with a lot of really good tips, especially during this recovery phase. I love this comic here. It's before COVID, or right at the beginning of COVID, this group gets together and they say, digital transformation is years away. I don't see our company having to change anytime soon with this giant COVID-19 wrecking ball coming their way. I think this can apply to the dental industry. We always have thought digital marketing is important and transforming our companies is really important. But until COVID-19 hit, we realized how critical it was that we changed things and that we are, digital centric, especially with our marketing. I like to, let's see, sorry, I keep clicking out of it. I don't know, I'm not sure why, Bill. Am I clicking the wrong thing?
You're back now.
Okay, I don't think I'm clicking the wrong thing, but.
I can move you forward if you want.
Okay, here we go. I like to give this example. A few weeks ago, my wife and I wanted takeout. And so there's this local taqueria that we love called Taqueria 27. And so we decided to go to their website to place an order. And when we clicked on the link to place an order, it was really cumbersome. It required us to create an account. It required us to, put our username, password, and then we were trying to navigate it on our mobile phone, and it was really hard to navigate. So we kind of gave up and we just decided to call them. And when we called them, we placed our order. And then when we went in, it looked a little something like this. A lot of people were kind of waiting, gathering around, not really social distancing. And then when we got to the front, the cashier told us that our order wouldn't be ready for another 30 minutes. And so we were kind of frustrated with that, and we were really hungry. So we decided to cancel our order, and we decided to go to a place called Habit. And I had the app already on my phone from Habit, and I've placed ordered there before. And so within a matter of minutes, I placed an order. It had my credit card already in there. It told me exactly how much time it would be until my order would be ready. And then when I got there was someone that was watching for my car. They came out. In this photo, she doesn't have a face mask, but she had a face mask on. She gave me my order. I didn't have to exchange a credit card or anything. And it was that easy. And we were on our way with food. So I got to thinking about these two experiences between, sorry, Bill, I don't know what I'm pressing. I'm just pressing the click and it's taking me off of it each time.
Okay, how about I jump in and try and control it?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
But I was thinking about these two experiences, and I think this is, Dan and James have talked about the new normal, how we don't like to use that word, but the truth is that people are, after COVID, they're expecting a little more convenience and a little more attention to safety. And even if you're a small business or a large chain, I think the expectation is kind of the same. I expected the same out of the taqueria as I expected from the larger chain, which is Habit. I expected them to think about my safety and my convenience in the same sort of way. And so even though maybe you're a smaller dental practice, I think people will expect that same that same level of expectation will continue on into the future. And this is kind of how I pictured the new normal and how that might work. This quote by Lynn Clement from Apex Drop, it's an influencer marketing agency. She said, "Consumer attitudes and behaviors are changing. Marketers must start there. Digital experiences will replace in-person experiences. Some of the new habits will become the new normal, even after the crisis passes. Looking ahead, the best companies in the world will prepare now for how to meet the needs of consumers where they're at when the recovery period begins. Don't expect consumers will return to the same place." So there's two different types of new normal. There's maybe what you're doing in your practice, but there's also this mindset of what the consumer is expecting. This other quote here, this is by Nick Mercurio. He's executive vice president at a data analytics company. And he said, "The ability to deliver on health and safety efforts is now the most important aspect of the customer experience, and it will be for some time. We found that 62% of shoppers would stop shopping at a retailer not taking health and safety seriously." And I love what James said about, we need to enforce this idea that dental industry has always been safe, and we're just continuing that into this new normal. So the mindset is, as marketers, we must change our digital marketing strategy according to current consumer habits, feelings, and concerns. We should always think this way. What are current habits, feelings, and concerns? Antonio Damasio, he's a famous neuroscientist, he said, "We are not thinking machines that feel, rather we are feeling machines that think." Okay, so there's two different types of ways to market to people. There's ways to market based on feelings, and there's ways to market based on way people think. Sympathy-based marketing is based on how people think. And then empathy-based marketing is solving a problem or marketing to people based on how they feel. So what are your patients thinking right now? Or what are people thinking right now? They might be thinking, "I really need to see a dentist after quarantine," right? That's just their thoughts. Maybe they've been eating a lot of snacks. Maybe they have a toothache. Maybe they've been, sitting around their house and they're like, I think I need to go see a dentist, right? So how do we market to people based on how they think? This is how all dentists typically market. They just create an ad. They say, "Get your smile back, only $59 for a checkup," and you kind of throw all these different discounts at people, hoping that something sticks and that they come in, right? That's marketing based on people think. But how are people feeling? What are your patients feeling right now? So we've talked about this. There's a lot of financial stress that people are having because of the economy right now. And then there's tons of safety anxiety. People don't want to go out of their house because of fear of what they're watching on the news. So how can we market based on how they feel? And there's tons of ways right now, especially through social media, that you can connect with people based on how they feel before they come into your office and convert as a patient. So the next slide there. So empathy-based marketing is walking in your patient's shoes to understand their motivations. You don't want to just think like the patient. You want to be the patient and understand really how they feel. Brene Brown, she's a famous author and speaker. She said, empathy fuels connection and sympathy drives disconnection. So I want you to remember this if you don't remember anything else. So connection before conversion. You need to connect with your patients now before you convert. And that's what we have tried to do at My Social Practice is we've tried to teach our dentists how to connect with people using social media because it's really the perfect channel for doing that. So we developed a campaign called the We Still Care campaign at My Social Practice. And this was actually the beginning of quarantine. And some of the principles still apply, but if you go to mysocialpractice.com/we-still-care, you can put your email address in there and we'll send you a bunch of ideas to show that you care for your patients. And thousands of practices use this hashtag and posted these ideas saying that they still care, not just for dental work, but they care about their patients. So this was one idea, make it personal. Just turn your camera around. Dan talked about just this power of video, and you don't need to be polished videos every time. Just turn your camera around, talk to your patients, let them know that you're still there for them, that you'll do anything for them, you're available. And we had lots of practices do this, and it had that personal touch and allowed people to comment and respond. That really went a long ways. Show your team unity. We had practices that just took screenshots of all their team together and then brainstorming of what they could do to better the experience of their patients. And then they posted that on their account. So show that you're still working together. Be relatable. TikTok became a really big thing during quarantine, and practices just made little videos with their family, and they got tons of reactions and comments and shares. These had nothing to do with dentistry, but they built relationships, right? Which was so important. Next, share your talents. This practice, every Sunday night, they went live on their Facebook page, and they just shared beautiful classical music to their audience and to the community. And look at their likes, how many likes and comments, 99 comments, 894 views, people just thanking them for sharing their talents. And with side note, they're dentists, right? So as this spreads to the community, people are like, well, what is this? Oh, this is posted by Mountain West Dentists, and they learn more about your practice. Of course, you can share dental advice. If you have questions that you always get, answer them with a quick, short little video and post those on your account. Be optimistic. There's so much negativity right now on social media. You don't need to keep posting negative things about COVID. This is just everybody held up a word, and all the words together created a sentence. And this was just a positive message that people appreciate. In addition to doing some of these things, we encourage our practice to give to their community. A lot of practices donated to their local hospitals. I love this comment on this post. It says, wow, really cool. He's my dentist and just got a lifetime of loyalty. Now, people like to do business with people that donate and give to their communities. It makes them proud to work with or to be a patient of that practice. Support local restaurants and stores. With stores struggling right now, you can go there and just show your support and post a video, taking a selfie with the owners. Highlight team members that are volunteering. A lot of your team members probably did some amazing things during this time, whether they helped make masks or whatever it was to contribute, you can show that. Treat healthcare workers for lunch. This was a great idea that someone did to just help those frontline workers. And then some practices even did a free curbside dental supplies where they had people come and pick up either elastics or toothbrush or toothpaste on the curbside so they didn't have to go to the store. So be thinking about the current situation you're in. I know we're kind of past the quarantine phase, but there's a lot that you could still be doing to connect with your patients and show that you care about what's going on right now. And of course, it's so important, as we talked about, to make these safety videos and scheduling videos. Right now, the importance when you're opening your practice is to focus on safety and scheduling. So scheduling is important because people don't know really, they don't know what to expect. If, like, let's say someone wants a whitening, should they expect to wait for a while until you first finish the urgent appointments? How about if they're a new patient, are you accepting new patients right now? You need to be very clear on your schedule and what you're deciding to do. And then, of course, as we've talked about already, and I won't go into it in too much more detail, but your safety protocols. Do a walkthrough of what a patient can expect from when they walk in the front door. Are they greeted by someone? Is their temperature being taken? What happens next? Or do they go, you know, wherever they go? How have you sanitized your equipment? And again, like James said, this is stuff that you've already done, but dentists haven't done a good job at communicating that to their patients. So show the behind the scenes, make a little video showing what a autoclave is, right? Most people don't even understand what that is. So explain how that works and explain how you store your instruments. And there's so much you can do with video, and video is by far the best thing that you can be posting to social media. It ranks the best through Facebook and Instagram. So make video as much as you can. I want to end with this comic. It's follow up from that first comic. It's that same group getting together for a meeting, and they say, since it's our top priority, what do we mean by digital transformation? And someone says, Zoom meetings, using Slack, digital first, data driven, customer centric, don't forget agile, and something with the cloud, making TikTok videos. And then he says, maybe we should start with what it doesn't mean. So we've given you a ton of different ideas in this webinar. Don't get overwhelmed. You just want to start somewhere. Make a checklist for yourself and decide what your first priorities are of what you want to start doing. We've created a checklist for the dental industry. If you go to info.mysocialpractice.com/worksheet, you can download this for free. It just gives we have 5 phases of the reopening process. It just gives you some really easy things that you can start doing, things that you can post and start talking about and focus on during the reopening. So we encourage you to download that. In addition, if you have any questions, please reach out to us. Our clients get a social media manager that's specific to them, and we'll custom a solution for them. So please reach out to us and let us know. We'll be happy to help.
Thanks, Blake. That was good. You got through everything quickly, except for the control.
Yeah.
I'm a better clicker than you are, apparently.
I think so. Yeah, I don't know what I was doing wrong there.
Thanks, everybody. We've got 5 minutes. We may go a little bit long here. And again, if folks have to drop off at the top of the hour, we'll have a recording up later to watch. But these were some questions that we had sent over earlier in the week. And so talk a little bit about, number one, I think was pretty well covered, major changes in marketing strategy post-COVID, talked about safety. So I think you guys covered that pretty well. Boy, the second one here, do you see marketing landscape changed forever? I don't know. Let's let James, since he hasn't talked in a while. James, what do you think about that?
Make sure I'm off mute. Yeah, if I had to guess, and from what I know, traditional print probably took a hit through this entire COVID phase here. So spend has probably gone toward digital, and what we've seen is it has gone toward digital, which is the preference of a company like Sparq, and I'm sure the same goes for Dan and Blake as well. So yeah, no question. I think the landscape has changed. I think it's going to heavily skew toward digital. I think that the analytics that are returned from it and the vision that you have into the performance of what your spend was is probably going to become something that is dove deeper into and then expanded upon. Probably a lot of pivots toward that in the future.
So I don't know if anybody else wants to chime in there, but
I'll add to that. So I think it has changed forever, right? Quite definitively. And your patient base is going to change dramatically. There are, again, closer to 100 million people potentially looking for a new dentist at the moment than 0. So it's a chance to innovate. I think you can actually innovate your business models, your billing practices. And I think that for the first time in a long time, I've heard hundreds of dentists say, my patients come to me, it's mostly referral based. I don't need to do that much marketing. In this environment, marketing, just good old fashioned retail marketing, is working again. So I think there's a lot of conquesting to be done to capture market share for new locations, to regain patients and even upsell them cosmetic services. So focus on the business part of what you do right now and innovate as much as you can, anywhere you can. Just read a lot. But I think that you're going to see things are not going to go back to the way they were. They're going to go to a new standard of safety first, innovative practices, and marketing will work now.
So what about, I know we talked about patient safety being extremely important. You think that should be number one? I mean, if you had to rank things, Blake, what do you think?
Yeah, in our 5-phase process that we've talked about is after you reopen your practice, we do feel like showing that you are safe and that you are convenient for your patients is kind of the number two. The two things that you should be focusing on right now. I definitely think, I don't know how long the safety, the strong safety message is going to be needed. Who knows what's going to happen in the future, but for right now, yes, I think that is. And there's a lot of practices, you'll still go to their Facebook page or whatever it is, and they don't talk about this safety concern. And I think it stops people from picking up the phone. If they learn about, even if it's from a direct mail piece or whatever it is, I think one of the first things they're going to wonder is, okay, what's this practice doing to keep me safe before they start working inside of my mouth? And if they can't find a video quickly somewhere, they might go elsewhere. So it's important that you have information at the top of your Facebook page, or the top, pop up on your website when they go to your website to see that you are addressing these concerns.
It's a great place to put segmented marketing too. So if you're producing these videos on Facebook and wherever, you're going to want to make sure that that's where you address specialty audiences, like now announcing our special hours from 2 to 4 for seniors, now announcing family bookings for 4 appointments at once, because that's all you can book in an overlapping schedule without time between. So keep those things in mind, that these specialty audiences are the reason you're going to be producing this content.
And the other case to be made just for producing content is eyeballs are on the industry. The industry has received a lot of attention when it comes to what's happened to different organizations, different industries, and eyeballs are here. So people are actually looking for you and for what you're putting out there. So this is the perfect time to be producing as much as possible.
Yeah, great points. So let's look at this last one here. We didn't really touch on dental savings plans. Does anybody have any thoughts on this? I mean, I know pre-COVID there were a lot of opportunities, patients that didn't have insurance, and I saw a lot of practices starting to add dental savings plans. What do you guys think? I'll hit Dan. What do you think?
Yeah, so that's what I was alluding to. So however you structure it, a dental savings plan is going to be an ideal, a dental savings plan is going to be an ideal product to deploy right now. So I talk about financing, but
Sure.
However you can possibly approach it with whatever financial backing or model you've got, now would be a good time to not only do that, but advertise it at scale, to announce it to the world.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 100% agree. The big benefit of a dental savings plan is loyalty, and loyalty is one thing that you're trying to covet right now when it comes to your patient base. So absolutely agree.
And I know that you, looking at some of the questions that were in either the Q&A or in chat, and you guys answered quite a bit of these. Maybe answer this one here, because we are 3:02, or 12:02 or 1 or 2:02, depending on where you are. We're past the hour. So let's do one last question here. Everybody's email addresses are here. The recording will be, available. Are all patients up for grabs? I saw this, and everybody's been shut down. What do you guys think? I mean, is everybody up for grabs from a patient standpoint?
I'll take this. I think so. Honestly, I think there is a huge opportunity right now for dental practices. And I'll just give you a personal experience with my dentist. So I had a procedure that I was supposed to have, and then COVID hit, and I was scheduled to have a appointment, and they called me to cancel my procedure because of quarantine. But then from that point on, I didn't hear anything from them. Nothing was posted on social media. They didn't connect with me. And it gave me time to think about if I really wanted to get that procedure done. And with all this happening, with financial things, with just concern, and I ended up calling them, reaching out to them first and canceling that procedure. And I'm kind of in this phase of, maybe I should go somewhere else that will offer a better deal because of my financial concerns. Or maybe I should go somewhere, they're not really talking about their safety. Maybe I should go somewhere that's, safer or talks about that a little bit, that I maybe feel a little bit more comfortable with. So it kind of put me in a position. I know this is not the case with everybody, but it did put me in a position of kind of shopping. I know that comment kind of talked about that. Are people shopping right now? I think they are. They're shopping for a more convenient experience and maybe a safer experience. And if they're not completely pleased with their current experience they're having now, they might be looking elsewhere. So,
okay, one more question, and I'll give this one to Dan and James, and then we'll shut this down. And I appreciate everybody listening. Any tips on handling? This is a great question. This is from Jamie Gint. Any tips on handling and communicating with backlog of patients? So all these patients that missed their appointments because they were canceled. Let's talk about that. How do you handle that? James, go ahead.
Yeah, so in my presentation, I talked about the overall top line message was always safe. And what I meant by that was that's the broad message. And this is where your new safety procedures come further down the funnel. This is the point when you look at your backlog or you look at those people who are starting to be interested, this is where you present new measures. So I think it's definitely right now, that is the message that we're bringing down to them. And I didn't want to get away from the fact that I think that new measures are extremely important, need to be communicated. That's the part of the funnel that I think that they need to be communicated to.
Okay. Dan, last word on this?
Yeah, and I think you're going to see, to your last question, tremendous influx. There's been a lot of dentists retiring during all of this too. Most dentists in the country are baby boomer range. And so you've seen a lot of early retirements happening, essentially just giving up. So there's new market share to be had on several fronts. To the point of what can be done with patient communication at scale right now, we've been calling that patient recall. You should look at your business model. So text them and email them. It's not invasive right now. People want to hear from you. Usually they hate that stuff. Right now, it's all fair game. And you should extend your hours to book more appointments. If you like money, I'm not sure if you're in the business of making money, but I am. So extend your hours. You should either work on the weekends, I mean that, or you should hire an additional dentist at each practice who will work the weekends. Maybe someone that recently got out of dental school that needs to pay off horrible loans. And take a look at your staffing. See if they might want to have staggered staffing schedules so that you don't have a large number of employees in the office at any given time. And that would allow you to cover more hours for cleanings and surgical consults and such. So the business model itself should shift, and then that gives you a reason to announce and broadcast news to all of your patients.
Really quick.
Yep.
Oh, sorry. Really quick.
Okay.
I just say, Dan, you were talking about emailing and texting. I still do think that, that is the best way you can get a hold of your current patients is email them and text overall on everything. But you can link to, in the emails and text, link to your Facebook posts where you're hosting videos. And that gives people the opportunity to comment on the videos. And you can also read other people's comments that might have the same similar questions that you already have. So it allows people to kind of get the best of both worlds. You contact them through email and text, but then they can watch the videos but link to your Facebook posts. So that's an idea.
Well, thanks everybody. Just a round of applause for our panelists. Well, it'll be quiet applause, but yeah, there you go. We can salute ourselves. So again, thanks to James Blundo from Sparq Designs, Daniel Gemp from Dreamscape, and Blake Hadley from My Social Practice for joining us. Great information. Would you all come back again if we happen to do one of these some other time?
Oh yeah, thanks for having us, Bill.
Definitely.
Great.
Yeah, thanks so much, Bill.
Yep.
Thanks for everyone joining.
And yeah, thank you, James. We will make sure that this is, we're recording this, and we'll have the recording up on groupdentistrynow.com, and it'll also be in our newsletter if you get that. So if you missed any of this at the beginning, or you want to forward this on to other folks that you know in the industry, please do. So thanks for joining us. I'm Bill Neumann from Group Dentistry Now. And our next webinar should be on analytics coming up soon. So stay tuned for that.
Thanks, everyone.